they're not acting violently, right? We think that that is the status quo that they need to defend, where the police force is actively using force, and the trust of the police in and of itself is failing in these communities. In this kind of context, we're very proud of growth. Firstly, on the setup. What we support is the same ratio, right? So as the region, if the black population is the majority, then we think that the police should be black majority as well. We are more than happy to include other kind of law enforcement, not only the police as our stance. We think those things are preferable. Moving on to my point. One, why the police is uniquely important to maintain trust within racially marginalized communities. Note that the police force is the most closest actor to these communities, right, in terms of governmental authority. These are the ones who people interact on a daily basis in their communities. It is extremely easy for them to create narratives of racism when they misuse their force against specific groups of people. What is happening in the status quo? We see in the status quo, we hear in the news every day that white policemen are shooting black people even if they're innocent, right? Why do we think this is happening? In the status quo, we think that due to a lot of social factors, such as how the media portrays black men, for example, or how Hispanics are being viewed within larger society, we think it is very easy for white policemen in general to have subconscious biases that is inherited in them. That means that when they see a black man, in comparison to when they see a white woman, for example, it is much more likely for them to use fatal force against that black person because of this subconscious biases, right? We think that is extremely harmful, and we think if they have people who know each other, like when people do not have subconscious biases towards your own race, we think that in and of itself is probably going to increase the safety and decrease the number of police brutalities against racial minorities in cases of when they're innocent, right? But secondly, we think things like racial profiling or those racial issues in general is probably going to be decreased as well. In the status quo, black people are the police force is much more likely to target black individuals when they stop the cars to check if they have drugs, those kind of things, which we think is extremely harmful as well. What happens in response to these kinds of police brutalities? We think when the communities lose face, especially because they see a group of white people oppressing black people, we think activisms like the Black Lives Matter movement that is genuinely anti-authority or anti-police is likely to happen, right? This is already happening in the status quo. These things, the lack of trust to the police we think is extremely harmful, and there are a couple of impacts that we want to show you. Right? One is with gang organization becoming the protectors instead of the police force. We can see examples like the Black Panther movement in the United States, when black communities, with the lack of trust in the police, decided to make their own form of protection, right? In this kind of context, we think gang organization gaining trust from these communities with an anti-police narrative is very likely to happen. This is very harmful because, one, people stop contacting the police when they actually need help. In general, we think because when you call the police, you don't know whether or not the policeman is going to shoot you or the person who's assaulting you because they already have subconscious biases against you. We think this is already likely to happen. But instead of this, they're probably going to start contacting gang membership, which means that the community itself is going to be less safe because gang organizations is probably going to have more power. The community itself is going to be anti-police, so we think stopping things like gang violence or drug use in these communities is probably going to be less easy, right? And outside of the house, because people will probably have more trust to the people who look like them, who don't discriminate against you because of your skin color, we think the trust of the police is going to significantly increase in outside of the house. We think the gang organizations gaining power in response to the anti-police narrative is less likely to happen in outside of the house. And we think in and of itself that is probably going to be a huge impact. But secondly, our second argument is even inside the police, we think inside the police organization, we think the racial composition is extremely important. Note that in the status quo, the vast majority of police authorities, especially those in middle to high-ranking officials within these communities, is predominantly white. It means that even in a region where poverty is, where there's issues of poverty or drug use that is very interrelated to the issue of racism, for example, in the US, the police officers probably do not know those kind of issues by heart, right? They don't have the same background as the local people in the local communities. We think this is extremely harmful because the type of policies that these police officers implement against these regions can be very counterproductive. Right? We think some policies, like going extremely hard on drug use in these communities in a way that is extremely violent or marginalizes these poor communities even more, is extremely harmful in the status quo. Why is that going to change? We think when people when we have the same ratio as the people with the same skin color or race, for example, we think it is extremely likely that those people will have a better idea of what this community is struggling with. Right? They know that how people view the police. They know that they have issues that they're facing. They know that drug violence, that drug issues come from gang activities rather than individuals going against the government or those kind of things. In that kind of context, we think police forces would be better equipped to deal with the issues in the community and less likely to abuse their power against individuals who are already suffering from racial marginalization within those communities. We think at the end of the day, race is extremely important in the context, especially in North America, right? Because race predetermines the type of community that you live in, the type of the amount of economic status that you are likely to get. In that kind of context, we think the police force is in a unique position to use their authority to make better changes. But they cannot do that in the status quo when white policemen have an extreme bias against these people. They're using force in a way that is not helping them, not helping anyone in those communities. We think the anti-police narrative is extremely harmful and we need to change this very much. Thank you very much.